Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen,
Grandpas and grandmas.
yep, and all the ships at sea, we are ready for another just spellbinding show. And my friend Dwayne is here. I'm here. The flags are here. I mean, we're ready to rock and roll. So, Dwayne, what do you got? Give us something to start with.
We'll keep it on a little bit on the light side here. I'm sure you people have gotten these. You get them in the mail, you get them in the newspapers, and it's I won't even name the company, but what they do, they go around and they solicit deals from restaurants. And then you buy the coupon book from them. And actually, it's not a bad deal. We bought them the last couple of years. They're selling them there. You buy one, and you get another one for free. Well, if you do, it costs $20 or so for this thing. You use a couple of them, you more than paid for the book, and the rest of it's gratis. In fact, we keep one in the glove compartment where we go out. Let's see if there's one for this wherever we are. But what I found to be a little bit on the humorous and disingenuous side, in the back page of Consumer Reports, they've always got these little ads that don't quite make any sense. Well, the first one we got said the book cost $14.95 with $4.75 for shipping and handling, where you send in a total of $19.70. Fine and good. But my wife said, well, she should just wait. He says, last year, too, the longer you wait, the more offers they send, the more books they got left, the price goes down. So we get one now in the newspaper. And I said, oh, you're right. Free shipping and handling now. $4.75 was taken off. I said, wait a minute. But now the total is $19.95 as opposed to $19.70. Guess what? They raised the price of the book from $14.95 to $19.95, and then they pick up the shipping for you. By them picking up shipping, you pay 25 cents more for the book. That's some deal. Bill and I could come up with deals like that.
You know,
it's not a big deal, but it's disingenuous.
of course it is. I mean, look, this is what these guys are. It's like three-card Monty down in Times Square, all right? Now you see it, now you don't. Show you this, pull it back over here. But you know, folks, that's great. Read everything you get.
That's
like
right.
That. And now, do you folks, I'm sure, subscribe to magazines? I do. Dwayne does. I look forward to them coming. And guess what? At the end of 12 months or at the end of 2 years,
when it subscription
the
runs out.
subscription runs out.
Yep.
And you get a little card. And it says your subscription's over. 2 more years, $39.95.
Yep.
Best price. Well,
some kind of loyalty price.
yeah. A loyal subscriber. You know, we have a special deal for you. So here's the tip. Find the book. Find the 800 number to call, or look at the card. Sometimes it's on there. Call 1-800 to give us your credit card and extend your subscription. Call the line and say, hi, Bill Crane calling. Hey, loyal subscriber, been with you guys for 6 or 8 years. Great magazine. However, $39.95 for 2 years. Well, I'm a senior citizen on a fixed income, and that's a little steep. Now, I know you guys always have better prices up your sleeves. So how about winging an old veteran a better price? Hang on a second, Mr. Crane. Hang on. And I'm sure he's sitting there doing nothing, probably twirling his mustache. And then he comes back on. Hi, Mr. Crane. Just got approval for $32.95. How's that sound? Better? I said, sounds all right to me. Here's my credit card. That's it.
Well, even if you can wait a couple of months.
Yeah.
If it's something that you don't have to have every issue, sometimes a month later or 2 months later, we missed you, won't you come back? and then the offers get better and better and better. I had gotten Time for a long time, and then I said, nah, I didn't more of this stuff. I don't know what the hell the offer was, but it wasn't really great. Well, it got down that I got 2 years for under $20 for $18 and something. And that's a 50 issues a year.
Back in the old days when it was small,
Yeah.
Yankee Magazine was
Oh, yeah.
a good magazine. And it got big and So I subscribed to it a couple of times, and so they sent me the re-up, and I said, Susie, you want me to re-up? And she said, I don't really care, Bill. No, I don't think much of it. It's not as good like it used to be. So I said, all right. I threw it away. By the way, it said you will never get a lower price than
Baloney.
what you're getting today.
Baloney.
Yeah. So we've gone from 1 year, $24.95, and by the way, these numbers are order of magnitude. I can't remember what the exact numbers are. We've gone from $24.95 for a year to $19.95 for a year to $15.95 for a year, and the other day, $10 for a year.
Yep.
So we've gone from $24.95, the lowest price you'll ever get, to $10.
Yeah. Don't forget, folks, they need you as a subscriber because they get paid on something called impressions. When they run an ad in a paper for, let's say it's General Motors, General Motors pays by how many thousands of people read that magazine and get that, and that's based on their subscriptions. And some few
Absolutely.
other goes to the newsstands, but when that number goes down, their ad revenue goes down and down and down. So
They
it
don't-
behooves them to keep you in that subscription list.
They don't care if you read the magazine
don't give a
or
damn.
not, but
No.
they want you to subscribe to it.
Even if it behooves them, even if they got to send it out for free
Yep.
to keep that numbers up there, or else their existence is going to quit because they will not be able to charge as much for advertising.
That's exactly right. Based on the number of eyes that
Yep.
are going to set on that ad.
I got
And-
one other thing, Bill. I felt so sorry last week ago, Tuesday, I believe. I picked up the Globe, and right on the cover it said, "Museum workers decry sales tactics." I says, my God, what poor babies, what's going on? Here, that naughty, unthinkable, cruel, cold Museum of Science actually wants their people to sell something.
My word.
They got a new system now that the people in the box office are supposed to try to sell memberships. And when somebody walks up to the Museum of Science and they want a ticket, they say, "Well, would you like to see the IMAX movie? Would you like to see the what do they call the where the stars are, the
Yeah,
planetarium show?" Well, if they say no, they say, well, it's really worth it. It's a real. They got a sales pitch supposed to. These people are mortified that they would have to do that.
So they really expected that their job
Was just to hand that ticket
hand
out.
the ticket
Oh
out.
yeah,
So
they go,
like, you could get a machine to replace it.
that's what I said. Like you buy a lottery ticket out of a machine. Well, you could have had that machine. You put your $20 in, you get your ticket to go into the Museum of Science. They don't need that person. Of course, they need to sell these kind of things. That's how they exist. They have an operating system. How many millions at $65 million a year operating costs of the place? Well, that's got to come from someplace. But they were just bored. They can't sleep. They can't eat. What are we going to do? They said, here it says, employees voiced fears that they are pressured into taking as much money as possible from visitors.
My word.
My word. Bill and I work in a sales organization. Any company that sells a product, you got sales reps or sales managers, and Bill and I were part of that group.
Yep.
Well, we lived and died by something called a quota.
Bingo.
Bingo. You made it or you didn't make it. If you didn't make it enough time, you were out of a job.
And also, if you missed your quota 2 quarters in a row,
Yeah, they all went.
gee, maybe no raise this year
That's
for you,
right.
big boy. You know, all this is taken into consideration. But you know,
Where do they get the idea that they're there's something special.
If the museum said to the people, you know what? For every ticket you sell to the planetarium, you get $1.
They got that deal.
Oh, they got it?
Yeah. For every membership they sold, they got a thumbnail that add in, spiff on it. Well, even the museum, as cruel as they are, they posted in the lunchroom, the break room, of the best sellers.
Oh, no. So now the ones that don't do a
That
good
didn't
job,
do
they
anything.
feel icky.
They feel icky. Is right. They're degraded.
Oh,
Oh my
what
goodness!
a cruel world.
Because their name's not on the list with the better
This is
sellers.
socialism. You know, all people treated equally.
Yep.
If you don't sell any, but this guy over here sells 31 tickets, well, the museum does a lot better by this guy than you, but, well, you both paid the same.
Same. Yeah, shouldn't.
Because otherwise,
One will feel bad.
he'll feel icky.
Yeah.
He's an underperformer, and I won't feel good about myself, and I'll have to cry myself to sleep tonight with my teddy bear.
I figured this just had to be the snowflakes that are coming out of college now. That have never faced any kind of responsibility or any kind of accountability. Now they're getting a job like at the museum. Well, what a great job! It's self-satisfying. It's inner satisfying, but they've actually had to sell something.
Did you ever have a sales manager that said to you, "Geez, I've been looking at your sales figures, Dwayne, and I know we worked out this commission arrangement. I can't pay you this amount of money. I mean, some of this stuff just come in.
Unfortunately,
over the
I have had that
transom."
conversation.
Yeah, and you know what? The biggest phony I worked for said, "I just can't give you that money." I said, "I went out and got it for the company." He said, "I know you did, but some of it came in accidentally. It was an add-on to an existing order. You didn't have anything way of knowing that they were going to run another line out there and buy another whole bunch of stuff. So you don't have any sweat equity in that mess." I said, "I'm the one that established the customer.
Yep.
I'm the one out and got us in the door. I'm the one that's got does our equipment spec. What do you mean I didn't do anything to deserve it?" "Well, you're going to be making more money than me at this rate." And I said, "Well, maybe I'm producing more than you're producing. How's that?"
That's right.
Yeah. Jeepers creepers. I mean, and to sit there and just say, black is white or white is black. Well, Stephanie DiTomasi of Burlington is accused of hitting 4 children with her vehicle and leaving the scene.
I saw they had a film on or a camera on that thing.
Yeah. Barreled into 4 children and then driving away in Stoneham on October 13th, allegedly tried to hide her car by removing the license plates and covering it with a tarpaulin. She pleaded not guilty to leaving the scene of personal injury, destruction of evidence, leaving the scene of property damage, negligent operation, and speeding. She was ordered held on $1,000 bail.
If you saw the clip on that, I don't know which channel had it. It's not like the kids were maybe crossing the road or something else. She had to drive off the road to hit them. She comes just like this and made a right turn and veered right off the road. They were standing off on the side. And it didn't make any sense how you do that.
The judge, now this is good. The judge ordered DiTomasi to refrain from using drugs and alcohol, surrender her driver's license, and stay away from the victims. She deliberately tried to hide.
Oh, yeah.
This is just unbelievable. And $1,000 bail. I mean, why the hell don't they just let her out of jail free?
Some of these things that the judges do here don't make any sense.
Man,
just do not make sense.
I mean, if there's anybody
Yep.
that should spend some time in jail and have to come up with $10,000 or $15,000 bail, it's her. So I have a subject of interest to both of us. Researchers find warship from the Battle of Midway,
Yep.
down 3 miles, 18,000 feet to be exact, and they found it with a remote control,
Vehicle, like a
yeah.
ROV.
Nobody was in it kind of vehicle, and they took sonar readings and everything, and they think it is either the Akagi or the Soyu that were sunk during the Battle of Midway. So I guess they're going to try to go down and look at it. What it said, some sonar images of the Kaga show that the bow of the heavy carrier hit the seafloor at a high rate of speed, scattering debris and leaving an impact crater that looked as if an explosion occurred in the ocean. The front of the vessel is buried in mud and sediment after nosediving about 3 miles to the bottom. So, my question is this. This is a grave.
Absolutely.
What right do we have going down there and picking through that grave? It's like digging up graves in a cemetery and checking things out.
Yeah, you're right about that, but I'm not sure they're going to pick through it. They will look at the historical data. I don't think they'll go in and look for bodies. Well, there wouldn't be any bodies anymore anyway.
No.
But
there's a sort of
you're right. It's you don't do that. You just leave it alone.
The dead, you know. I just don't think this is a great idea.
No, well, there's no reason other than historical value or knowledge. That's the only thing you're really looking for there.
That's exactly right. But you know what's going to happen? Some guy with
I know what's
a
going to
lot
happen.
of money,
Yeah.
and he gets to design some fancy damn submarine's going to go down there.
Yep.
Artifacts from the Battle of the Midway on the internet.
Well, they almost got that into with the Titanic.
Yeah.
They started getting down, and as these people started coming, retrieving, but they retrieved it. So far, they stopped it from penetrating into the body of the left of the Titanic, but they were picking up stuff off the debris field.
Yeah, and they got dishes and
Yeah.
plates and knives and forks and stuff, and more than 2,000 Japanese and more than 300 Americans died in the Battle of Midway.
Oh, that movie, by the way, opened Friday.
Yeah, and it's wonderful reviews.
Yeah, it's got good reviews.
Uh,
I'm gonna try to get to it before it leaves again. The trouble with we never seem to get there. And they say, "Well, let's go to the." Oh, it's gone already.
My wife won't go see that, so I don't know. But that's the kind of movie you got to see on the big screen.
Yeah,
and it's not going to relate well to television.
No.
That'll be interesting, but I don't know. So anyway, now we have located the pirate Blackbeard's ship that went down off the North Carolina coast 300 years ago. And so far, they've brought up an anchor, and also they have brought cannons to the surface. Now, I thought in one of the letters, one of the stories I read, that it said how deep it was, but it's shallow. Mm-hmm. They're into a big argument now. The Supreme Court is wrestling with who has the right to bring this stuff up.
That's all. It's treasure hunters been fighting this for hundreds of years.
Yep. The company that took the images holds the copyrights to them and says the state should pay for using them. North Carolina says a federal law seems to allow for copyright infringement lawsuits against states is unconstitutional. So
Now, these are copyright laws. And a lot of
Yeah.
times it's
salvage.
salvage or booty laws.
Yeah. So they're beginning to bring stuff up, and they're arguing about who belongs to it.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Florida has a 50-50 law.
I think so.
If you're a treasure hunter and you come across the pirate's treasure of gold coins,
Yeah.
you split that with the
and
state.
You document.
Yeah,
it.
you did all
And
the work.
It's like back in the days of the Old West, stake out a claim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's in court, and the states are waiting now to hear what they're going to do about it. But, again, this is a big grave. Now, I don't think there's much left.
Oh, there's
it
nothing
down
left of that.
there,
That-
except the cannons.
Yeah.
And the anchor, and we'll probably find some other metal objects down there, but that'll be it.
It'd be corroded metal. That's what it was.
Yep. But that's still, I don't like the precedent of it. It's like going into a military cemetery and say, well, we're going to dig these graves up because we want to build a house here or something. Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be some.
I had an uncle that they were all dairy farmers. They had quite a bit of land, and he had a series of mounds on one end of one field, and they were about here to the wall, maybe this high. And he says he wasn't sure, but he says I'm almost sure from the people who said they were Indian burial mounds.
Yep.
And he said he just stays away from them with the equipment. He says I don't want to accidentally open one up for a couple of reasons. He says I'm afraid they'll get haunted or something. But he says if I would accidentally do it, then the state has to come down, the archaeological people,
Boy.
and seal everything off. And he said it's just unbelievable. He says, but I don't want to go close to him. He said,
A wise man.
yeah.
Yeah, wise man. Because you're just going to end up with a pile of grief.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. Buffalo Wild Wings. Do you like them?
I've only been there once, not twice. I think-
Mansfield?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Patrick likes them.
yeah, I like them. There's some more better than others, but
Yeah, you're right. So, an attorney representing a group of black customers who say they were asked to move to another table at a Chicago area Buffalo Wild Wings because of their skin color says a lawsuit won't be necessary if the restaurant chain changes the way it hires and trains employees. Two adults who attended last month's children's birthday party spoke to reporters Tuesday. They said a manager explained another customer wanted the group to relocate because he was uncomfortable sitting near black people. Attorney Cannon Lambert detailed the demands the group is seeking. The company said in a statement that the two employees involved have been fired and other employees at the Chicago area restaurants would take part in sensitivity training. Now, I think that I fall into, I don't put a lot of weight on some of these type of incidents because I don't know where the truth lies. And this sensitivity, this feel good, I don't like that. I can't stand that. It makes my hair hurt. But this one is pretty straightforward. They're not looking for money. They're just looking for Buffalo Wild Wings to change the way they train their employees. The point being, I find it almost impossible to believe in this day and age that someone would say to a waiter, would you move those black people? I don't like sitting near them.
Yeah.
What sort of a caveman do you think that was?
I probably put less stock in these kind of things than you do.
And I don't put a lot.
You don't
in
put a lot in them. I see a lot of these things as opportunists
Exactly.
for one reason or another. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's publicity, sometimes it's something else. But today, everybody's got an agenda for something, whether it be financial or a cause. But you're right. Who in their right mind would do that today? You know that you're just going to get in trouble. But
You just said something very wise. Who would do this today? Who the hell would have done it 40 years ago?
yeah, well, I
never
could see
would've.
maybe down in Mississippi 75 years ago. When there was a white thing and a black thing, and
Different story.
Different story, different
culture,
time, yeah.
Everything.
but today, no, it just doesn't have. It's just not feasible. I can't. You never say never because might be some nutcase someplace that does it, but as a general run of the mill thing, or a frequent occurrence or even a common occurrence, it does not. Now, what could have been, a lot of times these things start out as something and turn into something else. You could have had and I don't care, black, green, white, or whatever, you might have had a table of individuals raising all Billy hell, drunk, making a lot of noise, disturbing everything,
Could have been a kid's party.
or a kid's party.
And kids running around yelling and
Screaming and yelling, and other people trying to watch the game because it's a big game. And they ask, could you move them over there someplace so we can't watch the game?
But because the question then you ask of the guy is, well, why the hell don't you move?
Yeah. Well, you might be the whole people around them want to move, but immediately it's going to turn into a race thing if there's a white or black involved.
Of course.
It's crazy because a policeman will shoot, accidentally a victim, wrongly or rightly, innocent or not innocent, but immediately the papers picks it up. It was a white officer and a black victim. Other way around, they don't usually bother to report it because it's just something that they're always making something out of it. Man bites dog, dog bites man, no news. Man bites dog, news.
Yep. Absolutely. But this, I just couldn't believe that when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
If all of this is true, they had to get that guy and put him in a room for a while and
No.
see if they can figure out what the hell's wrong with him.
Not too long ago, there was an incident in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, I think is the name of it, with the blue group of black kids going
Yep.
in. Now, there was some other sides to that story that never really got published. First of all, they did not say you can't bring watermelon in here. Oh, every kid, they saw we were black and they said, no watermelons. There was you know what they said?
Water
no
bottles.
water bottles. Number two, they followed us around. Yes, they did follow around because one kid had a magic marker and he was out writing his initials on stuff. That wasn't even said. It became a total racial thing. But it just, and it went crazy. And the museum was falling all over themselves trying to.
Yeah.
When I first I told that kid pull out a magic marker and put his initials or his sign or something on one of those paintings, he'd have been out the door in a cop car someplace.
But then it will be officers overreact.
Overreact, yep.
Now, 13-year-old cuffed and stuffed.
Yep.
And then there'll be a major league hoorah-rah over that. I know. We're reaching the point in this society where things are blown 10 miles out of proportion routinely.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'd hate to be now? Or I would have hated to be all along because I don't have the patience for it. But I'd hate to be a school teacher.
Yeah,
Because
oh my God.
you simply cannot do
No, you can't.
your
can't.
job correctly. It's, this parent called up and that parent called up, and you're down in the principal's office. What did you say to this kid? Well, the parent says you said this, and you know what it's like, Dwayne? And there's been a couple of articles in the paper about referees in soccer
Oh, I just read. Yeah.
Parents afterwards yelling and screaming at them. You know what? I used to referee Little League
Oh, I did soccer.
in
not,
Norfolk.
not here, but in Brockton.
And I always enjoyed it. I had fun with the kids. Chucky Stone, the chief of police, he was a kid then. And so many of the kids were great. I mean, the kids were fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of fun. And you know what I'd do? I'd stop the game. And I'd say, hey, time out, stop. I said, now you can't stand like this and try to hit the ball. You get your foot on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here, you step back. Now listen, hold the bat back here. It was like they're getting no coaching,
Yep.
you know? And then a couple of other times, I had to stop the game. And I'd call the manager out, the adult out.
Mm-hmm.
Say, now come out here. I said, I'm over the plate calling balls and strikes. You are off to one side.
Yeah.
You've got no idea where the ball is going over the plate. You can read height, but you cannot tell me what's going on side to side. I'm not going to listen to it anymore. Now get out here. I'm going to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
I took the ball, and I said, this is how I call balls and strikes. All right? Otherwise, we're going to have 10-hour games. Here's the edge of the plate. If the ball rolls along here and touches the edge of the plate, that's a strike.
Yeah.
Well, that's not right. The ball's got to be over the plate, all the ball. I said, you're wrong.
It doesn't have to be.
Absolutely wrong.
But
I said, now, I tell you what, we're not going to have an argument because I'm going to throw you out of the game if you keep it up. So I actually threw adults out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
This one guy, happened many years ago, got into a fit over something his son did in the outfield. And when the kid came in, he was yelling at the kid the whole time the kid came across the outfield into the dugout. And he took a clipboard, and threw it at the kid. So I was watching, and I said, you're out of here. Get in your car and go home. Tell your wife what you just did. You can't throw me out of here. I said, the hell I can't. So I looked upstairs. I called the police. There's a telephone up there in case you need to call the ambulance or something. I called the police. We got a disruptive person here. I want him off the field and off the property.
Yep.
So he got in his car and peeled out in front of the kids. That was the last game he coached. What a jerk.
Oh, yeah. I used to get him in soccer, too.
Yeah.
And it always... I watched a baseball game this past summer, and I usually can't sit through a baseball game on TV because they're just so damn slow. The commentator made a great comment. The pitcher pitched the ball. A strike was called, or a ball. It doesn't matter, but whatever it was opposite of what the crowd thought it should be, and these roars of boos went up. And the commentator says, well, he says, looks like we got 43,000 umpires tonight in the stand, and they all got telescopic vision.
Yep. Unbelievable. But you know what? Bottom line, I'd still be umpiring.
Yeah.
Kids were great. It was the parents that were the problem.
God, these two here from Martha's Vineyard or wherever they were that went after the coach at the soccer game, or the referee. But see, I would have just thrown them out for a year. They would have been. There'd be no high school activities at all for those two.
Yeah, and that's the way you handle something
Yep.
like that. You don't want that kind of person dealing with kids.
Nope.
Ah,
And these were players. These two.
the next subject here, I've got part 2 of someplace in here, but I can't find it right away, so I'm not going to work. Yes, I did. I found it. Haha.
It always happens. It'll be the last place you look.
What is it about being a Massachusetts governor that screws up your head? To wit, J. Michael Dukakis
Oh, jeepers.
runs for president and has a scene of him driving a tank around.
With the ear flaps
Yeah.
hanging up and down. That just,
Bill Weld.
yeah.
Now Bill Weld, we probably can't say this, but so we won't. But take my word for it. Bill Weld is
Yeah.
strange puppy. Deval Patrick. Probably the most useless governor we've had in the century.
Yep.
Now he's thinking about running for president. Charlie Baker, who runs as a Republican and acts like a Democrat,
That's right.
and has never taken a firm stand on anything. Mitt Romney, who has a nom de plume as on one of the social media things. He can't even use his own name.
Oh, we have a list of characters here.
Yeah. And you know, I left off here because he wasn't governor, but he fits with this bunch. John Kerry,
John Kerry,
the hero of Vietnam.
the man of many Purple Hearts.
Yeah, if you have so many Purple Hearts, you get sent home right away. There's three, right?
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's got tons of them.
Oh, yeah. But he also got a Silver Star and wrote it up himself.
Wrote him up, wrote all out his Purple Heart things up himself.
Yep. And the commanding officer threw him out a couple of
Wouldn't
times
sign it,
and
so I
said,
can't sign that thing.
Get out of here. Get away from me with this stuff.
Yeah.
That book, Unfit to Command,
Yeah.
everybody said, oh, they're piling on him and all that. It was like 150 officers that served with him that told stories about him,
But all that kind of stuff adds up to your character, either good or bad, or sleazy or whatever it is. But people like John Kerry, they put a front up one way, and then they do stuff on the backside that doesn't really mean all that much, but it does mean something to your character. He had a big yacht that he kept down in Rhode Island, and you have to pay some kind of yacht tax. I don't know about this.
Sales tax.
Yeah, it's a port tax. I guess it's a port tax where the thing is birthed. And
Right.
Massachusetts got a pretty high one. He wouldn't pay it because he said, well, it never comes to Massachusetts waters. It always stays in Rhode Island. Yeah. Then they got all these harbor masters that says, oh, no, that boat's in here all the time. But why are you so sleazy that you just won't pay the damn tax
and
be honest about
You're
it?
married to the heir of the Heinz fortune.
That's right.
You're telling me the $4,000 you can't afford it?
Yeah.
I mean, give me
And a $500,000 boat?
break. By the way, I knew a guy that was full of hot air, but interesting guy. He worked for Parks and Traffic in Boston. It was a political appointment, low-level political appointment. And he was in charge of illegal parking up on one end of Beacon Hill.
Okay.
And it would be on his say-so that cars would get towed. And he was told that you left John Kerry's car alone
Oh, yeah.
in front.
Oh, I'm sure.
In front of the fire plug. He says, every chance I got, he said, I towed that car.
Oh, I love it.
And eventually got fired.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What a beauty. But he said, no. He said, Bill, he said, if that car was here, I'd wait till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Get it.
And I'd get one of the tow trucks and yank it out of there. He'd be calling my boss the next morning, screaming and yelling. And boss would call me at home. And
Yeah. How dare you?
I don't know. I didn't tell anybody. The guy must have towed it by mistake. Now, this is the 5th time it's been towed by mistake, blah, blah. And then he got fired. What a beauty. So Deval Patrick has decided he's going to perhaps run for president. I think he'll end up running for cover when he finds out how few friends he has. And
How can he? He can't be president because he'd have to ride in that Chevy Suburban.
oh, yeah.
Don't you remember when he got to be governor? he couldn't use the governor, the Chevy Suburban. He wanted a Cadillac Escalade.
That's right. Yeah.
It was just beyond. I'm not going to get in a Chevy. Just like, well, I need $40,000 for drapes and $100,000 for this, and a $30,000 new desk for my office, and my wife has to have a personal assistant to handle her social affairs for another $125,000 a year.
Handle their social calendar.
That's right. My goodness. And I remember one time, shortly after Baker got elected, they said something about the new office, the Patrick's office. And he says, well, I don't go in there. He says, I have a little desk out there. I said, he said, I'm afraid to go in there and spill a cup of coffee on that $20,000 desk. He said, then I'd be in real trouble. He said, I only go in there if there's a presses there for something.
Nearly a year ago, Patrick, 63, announced he would not seek the presidency, citing the cruelty of the elections process and acknowledging doubts that he could cut through the noise of a crowded and chaotic primary. It's hard to see how you even get noticed in such a big, broad field without being shrill, sensational, or a celebrity. And I'm none of those things, and I'm never going to be any of those things, he said. Interesting that now he seems to think he's electable.
Well, he's got that smile.
Yeah.
I knew he was a phony immediately, right after the election, because remember he ran on this. There will be no patronage, no this favoritism, all this kind of stuff. He was on every other week or so, every 3 weeks. He was on Brody and Egan and Brody's radio show.
I hate them both.
Oh, I do too, especially that Brody. But they had him on as a guest, and it was periodical. It was the first time he was on after he got elected, and it came out in the paper that after he's saying he doesn't believe in favoritism and he moved somebody got somebody moved on the fire department list from 500 and something to number 1. And they asked him that on the radio show. And I got to give him credit, he was honest. But he was so phony about it. He said, oh, yeah, I did it. I owed somebody a favor. You ran an election that you wouldn't do stuff like that, and one of your first acts is to do it. I said, what kind of character is this? Mm-hmm. He has no ethics, no...
He's a politician.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's a very strange politician that he admitted to it.
Yeah.
Look.
But he's so arrogant. He said, yeah, I did it. I owed somebody a favor.
So I'm elected governor, and you call me.
Mm-hmm.
And can you get my son a job?
Oh.
You know, and Dwayne, of course I can. Maybe take me a week or two. What's he want to do?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe...
don't worry, I'll find something for him.
I'll find something for him. And you and I have been friends for 1,000 years.
Yep.
Take care of my boys. Take care of my buds. That's the way it goes.
And you...
listen, when you follow up with this, Tommy Nee is my administrative assistant for this kind of stuff. I'm going to give him a slip of paper right now and tell him to get on it. So it's Tommy Nee at extension 2581. And if you don't hear from him in a week or so, bug him. He tends to forget things. And you do that because if you're faced with an assignment, working in a company, and it's, Bill, I need a report. I want you to take an overview of this whole project here. Get yourself 3 guys from sales and marketing. Tell them I said they're going to be on your committee. And give me a report in 2 weeks. Well, now, am I going to pick 3 clowns?
Right, I know what you're going, yeah.
Or am I going to pick 3 people that I know can contribute?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's like this. You're hiring somebody to go on the fire department. Hey, this guy, I know the kid. He's been palled around with a couple of my boys. Comes from a super family. Beautiful. Bingo. Put him around there. But if it was some layabout ne'er-do-well that's been arrested 5 times, well, hell's bells. You got something to bitch about there, but...
But it all boils down to RMV. Look, we got the mess we got there. It's because of people who have been appointed over the years. That was a dumping ground for these politicians and bureaucrats to dump friends and services for friends. And so you got a whole organization that's just full of these kind of people. Can you imagine Beacon Hill or the state offices downtown if all of a sudden, like some magic thing happened, that everybody that got there by some political appointee suddenly disappeared?
There'd be
You'd
4
look,
people
you'd
left.
look around, the places would be empty.
Also, the RMV, after World War II, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, I'm not saying it's a good thing, it's the truth. But the registry inspectors, the uniform guys that enforced the laws and ran the registry substations and all that, there was not one guy appointed up through the 60s that wasn't a disabled vet.
Okay.
Because you got extra points
Points, yeah.
for being a vet, extra points for being disabled. Yeah, but this is Massachusetts, and it is the patronage deal.
Patronage,
And Mike Dukakis tried to stop it,
Yeah.
and he couldn't.
Well, after the scandal there with the probation department, when they asked some like DeLeo, and he was one of the primary
Oh, he's a
abuser.
politician, yeah.
And of course, right away he says, "Well, we got to stop that. You're the cause of this, not the cure. You are the cause." And one of the other legislators said, "Well, I don't see anything wrong with this. This is how we do business in Massachusetts." Yes, you do, but that's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. But you don't see a problem. That's just everyday things for us.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unethical.
Yeah.
All right, listen. If the guy was at the top of the heap, he did the best in the exam
Yeah.
and all that, he would have got it anyway. So you're taking guys that couldn't pass the damn exam, and you're moving them past this guy. It's not right. But
I know.
way
I
it
told you before. I know a guy that's got appointed in the tax department. He was functionally illiterate. He couldn't read.
we had a cop in Norfolk going back that could not read and write.
Yep. But he got his job because he knew somebody.
Yep.
He was a friend of a legislator and got appointed. What is he going to do?
That's all you need.
He's going to sit there all day and put something on his desk. He doesn't know what the hell it says. But it didn't matter because he's just going to sit there for 20 years or whatever it is and get his state pension.
Yeah, that's. I was talking to one of the folks at the prison. Starting job over there for security officers, $70,000. Now, I'm relating that to 30 years ago
Okay,
and saying, well, that's crazy money, but that's still it's a good starting wage, but and you got promotions, and you can go to senior and to go to some other grade too, but those jobs, you used to have to know somebody to get those jobs. It's an amazing thing. It's like the old days too. If you wanted a low license plate number,
Oh, yeah.
you had to know somebody.
Yeah, everybody, you had to be connected to get something like that.
Yeah.
I used to say, why the hell would you want one? So if you're up to no good, they said, well, I saw your car last night in front of so-and-so's house. It wasn't mine, but if you got a license plate that says 12 on it, you can't lie your way out of it.
Well, you know what? I mean, they thought they were doing a big deal by bringing out MD plates.
Yeah.
For doctors? Well, guess whose cars got broken into for guys looking for
Look
drugs?
for drugs. That's right. Stupid as hell.
I mean, God. So anyway, we have a rep from the North Shore, Laurie Trahan, from Westford. I guess that's the North Shore. I don't know where the devil
Yeah,
it is.
someplace up there.
So anyway, she has repeated, she transferred a bunch of money. $300,000 she loaned to her campaign.
5.
So you're not supposed to be able to do that.
No.
But if you do, it's got to be, I'm sorry, you can do that, but it's got to be your money. Well,
Yeah, it can't be somebody else donated
right.
to you and you took it into your possession and then turned it around.
well, so she has said when an NBC Boston reporter asked her if she could categorically deny that her husband helped her beyond giving the maximum individual contribution allowed by law, which at the time was $2,700. She said, yeah, look, the suggestion that I personally did not have the funds available is completely inaccurate. Now, that wasn't the first time that she had lied about this. On Wednesday, she admitted she made several errors in her financial disclosures, but defended the use of her husband's income because they've considered each other's funds as our money. She said she and her husband had a written agreement when they married in 2007 that all of their income would be our marital property and each of us would have equal right to manage and spend it. Under federal law, spouses, like any individual donor, are barred from giving beyond the individual cap. But candidates are allowed to pull personal funds from accounts they hold jointly with the spouse. They're generally limited to half the amount in the account. She did not repoint the joint account on federal disclosure forms until after the November election. She described facing a well-financed opponent in this David Coe and recognizing that after having asked so many people to invest in me financially, I determined I would do the same. She said she and her husband decided to move $300,000 of his income into their joint checking account. First in installments of $50,000 and $55,000 before she filed quarterly campaign reports showing she had loaned her campaign $50,000. So in other words, her and her husband plotted to skirt the law.
Of course.
And she's a rep
Our
down in Washington.
illustrious senator,
Yeah,
Elizabeth Warren,
yeah.
you can only give so much to as a person to the campaign. So her thing now, and you can't have any big corporations giving you money. Her thing is now, don't give it to me, give it to the Democratic Party, then they will give it to me. We'll just skirt around that little inconvenient law.
So this is exactly what my Marty Walsh did.
Oh yeah.
The money from the Boston teachers goes down to the national teachers in Washington,
Then back.
comes back to his campaign,
Yep.
and he says,
Well,
I don't know where this came from. I mean, that is the biggest lie.
Yep.
And Trahan is just as bad. I'm,
Well, there's just no end to these people.
no, I mean,
You know why? I could see why we're not in the legislature
Yeah.
right there. So she got $350,000 from her husband's salary, her husband's money. We don't have that kind of money.
no, my wife doesn't make quite that.
No, I mean, we don't have 350,000. Maybe 350,000 pennies, maybe.
Just quickly before we have to fade away, killing Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Baghdadi, yep.
Yep,
Very
the
good.
leader of the ISIS, was a great thing. But the raid may yield key insights on the Islamic State. the information that we picked up.
Yeah.
Speak to that, Dwayne. I think with your background,
Well, I know they got at least 3 levels down of 3 different stratas of
bureaucracy.
and leadership, and they got 1 or 2 of his wives,
Yeah.
and one of them is talking. She's telling everything she knows.
Sure, she's in the States now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that is going to hurt that group because they don't look like they're organized, but they are. Mm-hmm. They're very organized. You wouldn't pull off these things internationally if they don't have the wherewithal to do it.
So not only did we kill him,
Yeah.
but we get a treasure trove of information.
Yeah,
That's
and
going to help us numerous ways.
As long as somebody like WikiLeaks don't get a hold of it, or MSNBC gets a hold of it, or CNN, and blast what they know and blow it right out of the water.
Yep. And you know what? Anybody that gives them that information should be tried for treason.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't, you're right, we do not punish people in this country.
Well, if you would have published some of that stuff in World War II, you'd have never saw the light of day.
That's right. Well, folks, we have come to the end of this Gab Fest without solving any matters, but in airing several.
We don't solve, we just advise.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And complain.
By the way, thank goodness they didn't outlaw the word bitch.
Oh, they tried.
Yeah, they tried.
They tried.
Well, we would have had to clam up.
That's right.
Was that aimed at us?
Maybe. And every lady dog out there wouldn't know what they were calling themselves anymore.
Bow wow.
Bow wow.
Well, folks, listen. Thank you for tuning in. And we will try to bring you another sparkling show next time. So just start watching Norfolk Cable TV around the clock. You know, just stay awake, sit in the recliner and watch. And that way you'll make sure you don't miss us.
That's right.
Right. No bathroom breaks.
No.
Unless you got somebody to sit in for you. All right, folks. Have a great one.
Stay warm.
Stay warm. Yeah, cold weather is upon us. 17 at my house this morning on the 13th of November. That is cold.
That is very cold.
So take care, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye-bye.